Story 1. Bring back the village blacksmith to repair people's tools, and the village tailor to repair people's clothes. Story 2. 24-hour stores or anywhere catering to insomniacs. I miss doing random shopping at 2 a.m. I don't like running errands while everyone else is, and I have trouble sleeping, so shopping at night felt more relaxing. The only place open 24 hours these days is Waffle House. Also, video stores in general. I love the convenience of streaming, but nothing compares to the feeling of going out late on a Friday night trying to pick something to watch with some snacks and potentially finding a hidden gem. Accidentally memorizing all the trailers before my favorite VHS 2, plus the intimacy of recording something for a friend on a blank or unused tape. The box art used to be so enticing. As a kid, I'd stare at all the horror movie covers knowing I'd never have the courage to rent one. Story 3. Those brown suede jackets that were everywhere from 1998 to 2003, and corduroy. I love some good corduroy. Story 4. Children playing outside instead of being cooped up in front of screens. Reusing, repairing, upcycling, donating, and swapping items rather than just throwing perfectly good things away. Story 5. Political debates that are not filled with childish insults and hate. Story 6. Celebrating intelligence instead of glorifying stupidity. Story 7. People in public places spending time together instead of scrolling through mobile phones. Story 8. Neighborhood kids playing together around the neighborhood. Everyone is afraid of everyone, and while I definitely know bad things can happen, we are not supposed to let fear win. When I was growing up, all the kids on the block would get together and play hide and seek, flag tag, or just mess around in the nearby creek. It was a great way to meet new kids. All the different parents and people living on the block would give us snacks or let us play in their yards. Now there is a fear of someone getting shot just for doing a U-turn in a driveway. The American dream was not supposed to be a suburban prison. It was supposed to be togetherness and unity with our neighbors. I am not sure how we get it back, but we need it. Story 9. Mascot platformers. Miss the days of Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Donkey Kong, and Banjo-Kazooie. Story 10. Pogs in crisp packets. I loved collecting them and would make my packed lunch at work much more fun if they came back. Story 11. Movies that are not remakes, sequels, prequels, or franchises. Story 12. The older style of film scoring features memorable Wagnerian leitmotifs that are expertly developed over the course of the picture. Composers include Jerry Goldsmith, Miklos Rasha, Elmer Bernstein, Franz Waxman, Alex North, Alfred Newman, and others. Story 13. Taxing the wealthy and corporations at significantly higher rates, as during the peak of American equality. Story 14. Bodices and long dresses. Who doesn't like a good Renaissance fair outfit? Story 15. Bring back the third place. Story 16. Actual bands playing real instruments, not privileged individuals using excessive autotune. Story 17. Not yelling or screaming at people who disagree with you. Story 18. It used to be that if someone was having car problems, people in surrounding cars would jump out and help push the car off to the side of the road, even if it was on the freeway. Nowadays, people just drive around the stalled car, and it remains a bigger problem for longer. Story 19. Pizza and local area network nights with sleepovers, especially for adults. I would love to get a few friends together, play some old Halo or Call of Duty Zombies with pizza, and just hang out. Story 20. Children doing normal activities like riding bicycles, skateboarding, and staying out until the streetlights come on. It is amazing how many children have not learned how to ride a bicycle. Story 21. I would love to see people go back to minding their own business. Someone else wearing a mask does not hurt you. A yard sign does not hurt you. Someone not being cisgender heterosexual does not hurt you. If you cannot say anything nice, stay home and cry by yourself. Story 22. Dresses. Long, flowy dresses with infinite variety. Ladies, please wear dresses again. You all look so elegant and classy when you do, and I mean it. They have to be more comfortable in summer anyway. Story 23. Families actually spend time with each other without using their phones. I love when it is the end of the day, we are all home from school and work, and we have dinner together. A small thing that gave me many wonderful memories. Story 24. Cargo shorts. I am wearing them right now. I might need more wardrobe. Story 25. Having a few clothes that were very well made and could be repaired instead of many cheap ones. Story 26. Having many family members nearby and siblings' children constantly playing with your own. Story 27. Formal hats as part of an outfit. I have always loved the style of fedoras and flat caps, but you can hardly wear one these days without people making assumptions about you. Story 28. Can we bring back the local pub or bar as the place to meet and socialize? This situation is depressing. Everyone is stuck at home, glued to their phones. Story 29. Unions fighting hard to get fair treatment from management. Story 30. Good classy hats. I know the tips fedora meme is not cool, but looking at old movies when a fedora or a trilby is worn with a suit just looks so good to me. Story 31. Christmas cards. I am only in my early 30s, and this is something that was very popular but has completely disappeared in my memory. When I was young, my parents taped all the cards we received to the door frame of my living room. The whole frame would be lined. Some of my parents' friends even sent me my own card in addition to the one addressed to my parents. Cherished memories that make me a little sad to think about. Story 32. Politicians who want to provide solutions to people's real problems instead of consistently manipulating manufactured social issues for their own benefit are needed. Both sides are guilty of this. Story 33. Do not believe in conspiracy theories so foolish that a typical 3-year-old would not fall for them. Stop electing individuals who believe in such theories to Congress. Story 34. Pegged tight-rolled pants. Just to see the kids' reaction now to that 1980s trend. If nothing else, it helped stop the bicycle motocross chain from chewing your jeans up at least. Story 35. Planning ahead, including contingency options, and striving to adhere to the agreed plan is important. Nowadays, people rely on the fact that they can always call or text each other, so arrangements are often made on the fly, and too often things go wrong. Story 36. Physical media is largely the default over subscription services. Story 37. Some dry cleaners do alterations. The woman at my local dry cleaner did a great job on my wardrobe when I lost weight. Story 38. Bringing back clothes that actually have pockets. Not the fake ones, not the tiny ones, real deep pockets. Story 39. Sensible debates about policy from political candidates who agree on the end result but disagree about the path. Story 40. Not getting the news until whatever happened was long past. Instant and developing news is so stressful. Just let me read about it next week when all the facts are in. I can't do anything about it either way. Story 41. Supper clubs are gatherings where people host dinner at their homes, rotating monthly through the members' houses. Story 42. Men wearing kilts daily as I do. Make kilts normal again. Story 43. Remember the time before cell phones when you were not accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so people did not expect you to be available all the time, and they would not get mad at you for not answering your phone or taking more than 10 minutes to return a message. Story 44. People are worried about getting punched in the face if they disrespect someone else. I feel like that would resolve much of the problems we deal with now. Story 45. Tamagotchis could be a new version of Pokemon Go if done well. Story 46. Minding your own business in public. No pranks for YouTube, no having entire conversations on speakerphone, and no blasting your music without headphones. Story 47. Politics is becoming boring again. Cooperation between the parties on bills that will make life easier for the people who elected them to office. Country before party. Basically the exact opposite of what goes on today. I know it is never going to happen, but... Story 48. People flying on airlines wearing suits, ties, dresses like civilized people used to do before the cultural slide. Story 49. People using the internet to learn. But yeah, Shrek said it. The internet is for... Story 50. Scholastic book orders and readathons for students. I know the internet makes this unlikely, but it was such a fun thing to look forward to as a kid in the 1990s. Story 51. I miss playing music on your profile, like on MySpace or Zanga. Story 52. Fondue restaurants offer the glorious cheesy goodness without the hassle of cleaning up afterward. Story 53. Being able to send my kids to the corner store without worrying about them being solicited by a trafficker or getting run over by a distracted driver. Regular cell phones versus smartphones. I am okay with social media for the most part, but not its entirety. Did it not seem so much better when social media was limited to a computer or laptop in your own home versus in your back pocket every waking moment? Affordable living. Story 54. I would love to see an America and a world that defeat fascism, both domestically and abroad. That would be great. Story 55. Actually expecting some degree of decency from politicians, even if it is somewhat feigned. Not giving individuals like Donald Trump a free pass to speak without restraint. Story 56. Citizens removing corrupt officials from office and accountability and limitation of power for the government. Story 57. Enlightenment. I feel the planet would improve enormously if people took an epistemology course in high school and learned how truth claims work. This would improve intellectual integrity, media literacy, and dispel untold quantities of falsehoods. Cognitive biases and logical fallacies are abundant, and billions of people being particularly bad at understanding and navigating them is acutely felt. This is especially true here in the United States in our political discourse. Story 58. The trend of not believing everything you see on the internet. Story 59. Using a guillotine to decapitate oligarchs and aristocrats. Really anyone who uses their outsized money and power to subjugate the people who do not have it or to otherwise use them for their own selfish ends. Story 60. People are actually being fun and funny instead of angry about everything. Story 61. Getting dressed up to go out, especially to fine dining or cultural events such as the symphony or the opera. People not being overtly racist. Critical thinking and debating skills. Being able to discuss thorny issues without excessive emotion and rhetoric, dialogue. Story 62. Manners. Common sense. Affordable housing for the working class. Decent music, rock and progressive. For people to have an attention span longer than a YouTube advertisement. Story 63. Pogs. Tiny wheels in skateboarding. Guitar solos on radio singles besides country music. Aggressive inline skating. Neighborhood block parties. Story 64. Having ample free time to work on hobbies or engage in self-reflection. Story 65. Taking a day off from school at the drop of a hat because of the weather. Story 66. Leg warmers look comfortable for girls. However, as a man, they have an effect on me. Story 67. Truth in advertising. I read a book by one of the producers of the original series Star Trek, where he talked about having to lock a cake in a safe for a period of time. It might have been 1 to 3 weeks, I forget. This was because the company that made the cake mix claimed it would still be fresh after those weeks had ended. Imagine if all advertisements had to meet that level of truth in advertising. Story 68. As a film camera user, I love that we are still shooting on it, even when everything is digital. There is something special about the whole process, from loading the film to the wait of seeing how the shots turned out. I cannot get enough of the raw, unpredictable feel of film. Every frame has its own vibe. Honestly, I cannot wait to see this film revival grow. Here is hoping it never goes away. Story 69. Fidget spinners allow stores that purchased large quantities to finally clear their inventory. Story 70. Community responsibility. People do not feel that their neighborhood and community belong to them and treat them as if they were a candy bowl with no one watching. Story 71. Men wearing giant Three Musketeers hats with large feathers. Story 72. An American government that works for the betterment of its people and sets a positive example for the world. Story 73. Rock music. At most rock concerts and festivals I've attended recently, I was among the youngest at 40. Most fans were 60 or older. That audience is dying out. There is a slight resurgence with baby metal, Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, and Sleep Token, but their music is not typical rock, hard rock, or metal, and they are not exactly mainstream. Story 74. The ability to obtain employment by completing a paper job application and attending an in-person interview. Story 75. Having the decency to remove yourself from public life or the lives of those you have wronged if you are exposed as a cheater, scoundrel, or abuser. In essence, the forgotten art of leaving. Story 76. Clear or translucent plastic covers over electronics. I had several items that were translucent purple as a child, and it would be great to have them as an adult, even if it was something simple like a toaster. Story 77. Hats. Why don't we get to wear cool hats? I hate modern fashion. It is so lazy and boring. But if you go out in a hat and dress, people think it is weird. Story 78. The team with the best record gets to host the Super Bowl. Story 79. Shaming people publicly for the bad things they have done and not facing criticism for sharing these actions. Story 80. It's not really a trend, but something I wish would make a comeback is Blockbuster. It was and will always be better than Netflix. When Netflix first started with only a $7 monthly fee and no ads at all, it was cool. The movie selection in Canada was terrible for a long time, which is why it was so frustrating and heartbreaking when even Blockbuster Canada went under with the US franchise. Netflix had awful options, and there was nowhere for us to watch movies other than new ones in cinemas. Eventually, the movie selection improved, and Netflix originals were getting started. Netflix could now satisfy the lack of movie rentals, but Blockbuster also had game rentals. GameFly existed briefly, but its services were exclusive to America. Now GameFly is gone, and the entire concept of game rentals seems to be a thing of the past, along with free demos. Now you have only 2 hours to decide if you like a game. If it takes you 121 minutes to make a decision, you are out of luck. You own it and can never return it for a refund. In the 2020s, companies are trying to declare physical media obsolete. That is nonsense. Physical games and movies will always be superior because you can loan them to your friends or trade or sell them. Story 81. Punching people in the face who are unpleasant. It has been a long time since that was a trend. Story 82. Computer games that come complete when you buy them, not some patched and downloadable content-heavy poor-quality product. Story 83. Power chords, electric guitar, and impressive instrumentals. I miss power ballads, guitar riffs, and 8-minute-long songs that had so much instrumentation it blew your mind. Story 84. Classic arcade and mall culture. It used to be a weekend event to hang out at the arcade, grab a bite at the food court, and just wander around with friends. Now everything is online, but nothing beats that in-person vibe. Story 85. Never knew how much I would miss seeing food and pets on my timeline instead of strange political news articles. Story 86. Low-rise pants. I am 5 feet 2 inches tall, and high-rise pants are currently popular. That means all my pants and leggings rise up to my chest. Story 87. Paying a living wage, health benefits, and a good retirement pension. Story 88. Defaulting to being kind to people we do not know, especially on social media. Story 89. Shopping malls in the United States. I was in Italy this summer and went to a mall. It was glorious. Every storefront was occupied, the food court was busy, and there were lots of people. It felt like I traveled back in time to the year 2000. I wanted to scream, "Don't take this for granted. You'll miss it." Story 90. Deferring to experts in certain matters rather than forming your opinions from social media posts. Story 91. I wish couch cooperative games were more common. Being able to play with my friends in different states is fun, but having 4 people on one couch with one console feels different. Story 92. White tablecloth restaurants with coat check rooms require reservations after 7 p.m. They are owned by locals who run the place themselves and take time to know their customers by name. Customers dress nicely and behave respectfully, including their children. Children should only be allowed on holidays such as Easter, Thanksgiving, and Mother's Day, and only during daytime or lunch hours. No children are allowed after 7 p.m. Guests should arrange for a babysitter. There should be a bar where people can wait for their table, but no food served at the bar, only drinks. If a table is not ready within 20 minutes, offer a complimentary glass of wine or soda or sparkling water for those who do not drink alcohol. Anyone who consistently behaves poorly or does not tip the waitstaff will be banned. I used to work in such a restaurant as a teenager. I never had to worry about customer behavior because no one wanted to be banned. Everyone knew the rules and was delighted when the owners greeted them by name. If a child was screaming, the female owner would approach the table and say, "The little girl or boy seems uncomfortable. Maybe they would like to go outside for a walk or sit in the car for a little bit until they feel better. Is the father here? He can take the child to the car until they feel better." She always tried to assign the responsibility of taking the child outside to the father as a way of saying, "You are the head of the family. Shouldn't you be getting this under control?" The fathers never argued, unlike the mothers who might. It is a pipe dream, I know. I wish younger people knew what it was like back in the day when everyone behaved well and used their best manners. No phones, no video games. Just interacting with people in public and allowing every adult to enjoy the experience equally. Yes, it was expensive. That is why people only did it on special occasions and holidays. Story 93. Videos are shot in landscape mode. I would have thought by now, with all the lenses on modern mobile phones, one would be dedicated to horizontal use while allowing you to hold the phone upright. Story 94. Butterfly tops and bedazzled jeans. I was too young to fully appreciate them. Story 95. Lots of very sensible topics were mentioned. I am a simple person and will go with pocket watches. I have an excellent Garmin fitness watch and would never go back to a regular watch, but having a pocket watch in that little pocket of the pants would be wonderful. Story 96. Half of this has never actually been the case. People just look at the past with rose-colored glasses. Story 97. Buttons on phones. I take pictures unintentionally all day. Also, that flashlight. Story 98. I want to experience the times when the trends were bicycles, televisions, video home system tapes, cassettes, digital cameras, Tamagotchi, and beepers. Story 99. Bring Zeppelins back with modern technology so they do not burst into flames. I want my steampunk transportation method. Story 100. Cloche hats. I think they would look great with a peacoat. And hats in general. I feel like beanies and baseball caps are the diminished remains of an expansive hat culture. Story 101. Students respecting teachers. Teachers are not slave drivers or bosses. They choose to be there to help you build foundational knowledge, and the least you can do is show them respect. Unfortunately, many young people have not learned this yet. I do not believe in much tradition or nostalgia, but I am 33 years old. Even when I was in high school, we respected teachers, even if we did not like them. It is hard to watch sometimes. Story 102. 1990s JNCO jeans. I know people still wear them, but they are nowhere near as big as they used to be. Story 103. I would like more romantic things. Handwritten letters, family dinners to which you could invite one of your friends, and mandatory pancakes on Thursdays. Story 104. Aesthetic architecture. All these buildings are blocky and boring. Bring back gargoyles, buttresses, 20-foot doors, and oddly shaped rooms. Story 105. Employers hiring recent graduates and providing training for job roles. Story 106. Millionaires and billionaires use their money to build schools, public parks, museums, theaters, and music halls. In the past, people often used their wealth for the good of the community instead of hoarding it and avoiding their fair share of taxes. Story 107. Accepting the results of an election, even after unsuccessful court challenges, conceding to the winner, and ensuring a smooth and peaceful transfer of power. I really miss that. Story 108. Do not broadcast every minor opinion you have to as many people as possible every day. Story 109. Diary keeping. I've been seeing people getting tired of social media and switching to commonplace books, and I can imagine diaries being part of that, which I'm just not hearing about. I was never a diary keeper outside of vacations, but there's something classically romantic about it. Especially in the digital age, putting your thoughts down on ink and paper feels satisfying in a way that just posting text on your phone does not. Story 110. Dressing nicely again, collared shirts and fedoras need to make a comeback. Story 111. Honestly, I would like to see general self-awareness and spatial awareness return. I am tired of people having their faces buried in their phones in public, blocking entire store aisles, and choosing to ignore you when you politely say, "Excuse me, can I get through, please?" On a less ranting note, I would like to see the 1920s newsboy look come back. White shirt, tailored pants, suspenders, newsboy cap, and so on. It was a great look for men in my opinion. Story 112. Making it popular for men to stay involved and be a father when they impregnate someone. Story 113. I would love to see calm, rational dialogue and discourse at the national level. That was excellent. Story 114. Postcards, thank you notes, and letters to friends. Handwritten, of course, often with a splash of perfume or fragrance. Story 115. Instead of long and expensive legal battles, let us bring back dueling. Story 116. Responding to invitations. Yes or no? Now everyone just ignores them, and that is a terrible thing to do to someone who has told you explicitly that they like you enough to spend time and effort entertaining you. Story 117. Fun colored appliances and toilets like in the 60s and 70s. Story 118. Quiet evenings at home before the internet with a book and CDs for ambience or a couple of VHS tapes. That option is almost completely possible now, so why am I on my phone instead of reading the once and future king that I have with me? Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.